Hello ladies and gents, welcome to the MaffmanJones movie channel. Gucci. I'm your host John Maffio, and today's featured movie is 8th Grade, written and directed by Bo Burnham. If you are not educated with Bo Burnham, I implore you now before anything else to educate yourself on Bo Burnham because he's an awesome dude and this is his directorial debut and it rocks. The story revolves around a young 8th grader named Kayla who is going through the struggle of getting through 8th grade. She has an interesting relationship with her father, who's trying to support her every step of the way. But she has a YouTube channel where she talks about doing this, doing that, being confident with yourself, and she's just using the YouTube channel to project the struggles that she's going through in that particular grade. But this movie is a comedy, it's a drama, it's got a lot going on, and I think it brings a fresh new perspective. You'd think it would be brought up earlier, but it took till 2018 for us to realize that, yeah, high school is a really important aspect in the growing stages of a young person's life, but the year before high school, or even middle school in general too, is also just as flipping insane. Bo Burnham definitely gets the chance to flex his comedic muscles with this movie and just the awkwardness and sincerity of how kids act in middle school and just growing into those hormones and having crushes for people and trying to fit in with girls, and especially in the 21st century, the late 21st century that we're in now in 2018, because we have phones, we have social media, we got all these new things. When I was in 8th grade, I had like a flip phone. I had a Motorola Razr. It's weird because I grew up having lived in a time without technology and also with technology. E-Bombs World came out, and then MySpace came out, and then the giant explosion of social media began, and I was there for all of this. And it's weird to think, but it's honest in seeing that there are kids that are growing up, and there are kids that are being born and growing up right now, already living with all this surrounding them and absorbing all of this. And seeing this perspective of these young kids already having grown up in all this stuff was really interesting to me. But what's cool is that in its honest sincerity is that there's a lot of comedy there to be shown and also a lot of drama. And the movie's rated R, but I think it's important that kids that are growing up right now in middle school should watch this movie. If there's a rated R movie that young kids should be seeing that's not appropriate for them, it's this movie. It's the most appropriate for them. But in the story that really took me by surprise, I was just mostly enthralled by Ellie Fisher's performance. This young girl really, really makes you feel scarily at home with how you might have felt during that time period. I can't relate 100% to her situation in this movie, but I can relate to the core fundamentals of what she was going through during that time. There were times watching this movie where I genuinely felt awkward inside, in a fun way, because I was like, wow, this captures it brilliantly. This captures that middle school feeling, like, down to a T. And it's, ooh boy. Do I need a minute? I hope I don't need a minute. So even thinking about it, holy shit. What I left this theater thinking about the most and having the most impact by was the relationship between Josh Hamilton, the father, and Ellie Fisher, the daughter. Their core relationship. It builds and builds and builds, but I didn't realize how much it had an impact on me until the last scene between them in this movie that made me almost bawl. It's perhaps my favorite scene in the entire movie because it encapsulates everything that the movie is standing for and is trying to teach for young kids, is that it's going to be okay. Kids who are disastrously miserable and being wrapped up in how they're feeling then aren't thinking about how they're going to feel later. And it's important to live in the now, but it's also important to teach kids that it's going to be okay. It really is. The film does a great job in encapsulating a lot of the struggles of our childhoods, but also tells us, and it can tell kids now, that what's happening now doesn't really matter, although it does matter in a way that it may shape you as a human being, but your future will be beneficial from what you're doing and learning from the struggle now. And I don't know, something about seeing the way that father in the film supported his daughter just like it hits. And I think it speaks to the impact and the incredible filmmaking on display in 8th grade that I felt that impact as much as I did. And I didn't realize how much I did until we got to a certain aspect of the journey of this film. But as I mentioned before in the last review, sorry to bother you, here I want to start changing the way I review things and kind of bring in the broader aspect of it and what it means for a movie, what it's doing for the world. And I think what it most importantly does is bring a fresh perspective, a new perspective. Although it's close to perspective we've seen in movies time and time again, we've never quite seen this. There's a lot to learn for people growing up in every age here. This is an incredibly awesome, strong debut for Bo Burnham as a filmmaker, and to say I'm excited for what he has in the future hidden inside of him is an understatement. I am wildly excited. If he could bring perspectives like this to future comedies and dramas and blend that together like Judd Apatow has done greatly over the past decade and two, I'm ready for it. 8th Grade is a revelation with incredible performances that will connect hard and awkward sincerity that will at least bring you back to a place, whether you can connect to this character or not. It can definitely bring you back to being in middle school, and this is one of those movies that I think, like Sorry to Bother You, is a must-watch. I'm going to give 8th Grade a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It's mafiously darn good. Yes, it is. But now I want to know from all you boys and girls, what did you think of 8th Grade? If you've seen it, let me know in the comments down below. I saw it when it was only in 4 theaters in the country, because I live in New York. Haha. But it's it's expanding now, so if you get the chance to watch it, let me know anything about this movie in the comments down below. Or if you haven't seen this movie, what's a film that connects to your childhood the most? If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe if you haven't already, ring that bell, check out my social medias and my Stardust, where I actually did a little review for that too there, down below. I'm John Maffio, aka MaffmanJones. If you haven't seen it already, as I mentioned it before, check out my review for Sorry to Bother You, right there, and check out another review for a movie that I don't know yet because I haven't edited this review yet and put it on YouTube, right there. I'll see you guys next time. Gucci.